Hey everybody, happy Sunday and welcome to Call the AD and welcome to Scottish Watches. I'm Arthur.
I'm Stephanie, happy Easter.
And today we're joined by some of our good friends who are sort of newer to the watch world, but we wanted to talk to them about the experience of dipping your toe in there, buying some bigger purchases recently. So if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Kyle Kuklinski.
And I'm Rosalie.
And we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
This is not a watch-based friendship, but recently that's been a topic.
We've dragged
of
them
discussion.
into the watch world.
Yes, many
So
times.
it's come in.
Yeah. So
Great.
today we're going to talk a little bit about sort of the fresh perspective of someone reapproaching this, because a lot of people who watch the show are like so deep into it, you kind of forget what it's like to be like have a rational, objective perspective on all this.
I like the word rational.
Yeah. So I thought that might be fun. As always, like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when we go live in the future, and follow us on Instagram at callthea.d.
Yeah.
So so I guess we can start with a wrist check, and that will kind of lead us.
We're
into
on theme this time, right?
We are.
Which is pretty good. So I have my Santos Galbion. I'm not sure you can see it from here, but everyone knows this one that I've had for a while. And convinced Rosalie to get something similar. And she just got this. When did you get it? Like a month or so ago?
Yeah, a month ago.
Yeah.
A small one.
From Crown Caliber. They did a really nice job finding exactly what you wanted. Arthur?
And I'm wearing my Grand Seiko Spring, which I know is very far away from the camera, but.
And I have my Grand Seiko Skyflake, which I love.
Yeah.
Beautiful watch.
So we call them our friendship watches.
Friendship bracelets.
Yeah,
So which
that's
is
right.
like an obscene upgrade from like yarn tied around our wrists. So
That's
here we
right.
go.
We're also in Sunday morning mimosa
Easter
brunch.
Easter brunch.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Hope everybody watching can grab a drink and have fun chatting watches with us.
Exactly.
So I guess maybe as a start, could you guys tell us a little bit about like your relationship with watches, like over the long term? Like, have you always worn a watch? You know, what have you owned before? Did it catch your interest, or was it just sort of like a useful thing?
Well, I think for both of you, it'd be interesting to hear because you've kind of taken similar paths where you got like a initial starter watch, but it was like a big purchase at the time to mark an occasion, and then you've both gotten new watches within the past couple months to also mark big occasions. So, Ro, why don't you start?
Okay, so I, growing up, always really loved watches. Like as a kid, I was always fascinated by them. Probably from like 6th grade on, I tended to wear a watch. When I was young, it was probably like a Swatch or a Fossil. Or in high school, I think I had like a Diesel watch,
Yeah,
like the
did.
same
We
as
all
the
did.
jeans. There you go.
I had one too.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, because that felt like kind of designery and nice when I was that age. And then all through my young years, I always thought Rolexes just were such a symbol of success and the ideal watch that you should have. So I always thought that way. And I had some friends who got them as graduation presents from high school. I did not. I had friends who got them from graduation presents from college. I still did not. And so that's always been one that was on my radar.
Yeah, that I didn't get one either. But yeah, I think a lot of people, especially, that's why Rolex is so popular in general, right? Like, regardless of whether you're in the hobby, a lot of people have that perception, right? It's like, especially for an accomplishment, it's like a trophy watch, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It's a trophy.
Yeah. So Kyle, how about you?
I mean, for me, like watches were always something I really enjoyed and like loved. It was probably a little bit more from a practical sense of just like, when you know what time it was when I grew up, I remember I had one of those calculator watches.
Yeah, nice.
They're back now. Like,
oh gosh, maybe I need to get one.
Yeah, you should get one again.
But like it really came for me of using watches to kind of celebrate different moments in my life. So like right before I graduated high school, I went on a trip to Europe and kind of wanted to buy a watch in Switzerland. Then when I graduated college, I bought myself a nice watch to kind of to like celebrate that time. When I graduated from my MBA, bought another watch then. And then like when we got married, Rosalie bought me a watch. And so each of my watches have really been like a moment in my life.
That's cool.
And I want to try my like calculator watch because suddenly I had a flash of like a massive watch collection I had in high school, which was baby G's.
Oh,
I had like 4 of those, like white with pink and blue, and I mean that was a thing.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a baby G is.
It's like this
Little
G-Shock, and they had like shocky things on them, and you could do all kinds of timers, and they were probably a Tamagotchi, like with the graphics they would do. It was something.
There's a lot of G-Shock fans though now. They've like come up with some new designs, and we keep buying them. And So
yeah.
all over the
As
place.
a good comment here from Paul says, like, it sounds like you guys have been watch collectors for years already, but maybe just like didn't realize.
I probably didn't know it.
Right. Yeah.
And
And
now you're like fully in the deep end.
also, like, thought $200 sounded like a lot for a watch probably through recently.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. Like getting up to the one I bought myself for my graduation from college, it was probably $500-$600, and I was like, I'm really spending a lot of money on a watch.
So what was that watch? You want to share?
So the one I bought when I graduated college, it was a Hamilton. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about like all the things, but it was a great watch. I pulled it out. You guys probably can't see it, but it was a limited edition kind of watch, and I just loved the style of it, particularly the face of it. I think that's something I realized through looking at watches is I like the face is really important to me, and it is just a great watch that I really love. I think it turned out to be a little bit too like dressy for me to wear every day, but like absolutely loved it when I bought it.
It's a cool one. You don't see it very often. I think you should break it out on occasion.
I do.
It's a good one.
He wore it when we went to see Hamilton.
Oh, that's
true.
really fun.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
I think it's cool. Actually, one of the reasons I thought this would be a fun show to do is I feel like your perspectives on what you like haven't been like tainted by like what people way into this hobby seem to like in this little echo chamber tell each other is cool.
Mhm.
And finding your own like preference is like probably the best advice, if you're going out and collecting watches. And one guy here actually, our friend Watch Medicine says, advising a newbie on collecting is like advising a person on a hike on how to take the first step. People need to go on their own journey.
That's
That's
Deep.
deep.
It is deep.
But it's true. I remember when I was looking for that watch, I found lots of people who like were into Hamiltons, and I think what I've like learned a little bit more, it's probably not as I'm not gonna say nice of a watch as like when I bought it, I thought it was. But like in it, I remember people feeling kind of about this specific watch of it kind of being a little bit more unique within like Hamilton, and that kind of drew me to it. But it is interesting just kind of even then kind of seeing the like collector world and people's opinions of that watch and other watches was something that like was interesting to me.
That one's got a kind of cool, like almost like 1920s style to it. Yeah. More sort of like style forward than some other Hamiltons too, which is cool.
So Kyle, you went from the Hamilton to.
So then I got a Stoa.
Yeah.
And that was my graduation gift for my MBA. And I remember there, what I did is when I would travel for work, every time I got on a plane, when I was just in the like tarmac of just waiting to take off, I would just get on Instagram or like Google kind of images and just start looking at watches until I found ones that I liked. Now I know I like more simple watches, and that one just kind of drew me to it of just kind of a very simple face. And something that was like, I felt like I could wear every single day and not be too flashy, but still like very nice.
Yeah. The interesting thing is when we met and I saw you wearing that, I was like, oh, this guy must be a total watch nerd, because I didn't know anyone outside of Germany who's not like really into watches who discovered Stoa.
And it was even like, I did quite a bit of research on it. And I know Stoa changed their like logo. And like I wanted one with the old logo because I just felt like it looked like it had a better bounce on the watch face. And so kind of I bought that one used just so I could get the like exact kind of watch face that I wanted.
In case the audience hasn't caught up yet, like Kyle totally has a watch nerd mentality, but about everything in life.
Super detailed.
So he can just like
research.
jump into whatever
That's
kind
great.
of like
Perfect.
collector's area it is and just be on it.
It's maybe something I like about watches that there are lots of other people who like research it and like put in that effort.
It's one of those like rabbit holes. Like if you have fun chasing research and rabbit holes, it's one of those. But yeah, our friend Risk Ross says Stoa is a pretty deep cut for a casual watch. Yeah.
Well, then you went even deeper, right? So congratulations, you guys got married recently, but as part of you wanted to get a Kyle watch to celebrate the wedding. And I think we probably have a group text chat that's like thousands of messages
with just the three of us without Kyle for a lot of it.
Pick out a watch for you, which is hard because you're very particular. You like things that are special. And anyway, I think we found like the perfect thing for you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love the Skyflake, and it really was. It was the same thing of just like looking at lots and lots of watches to try to figure out what I liked, knowing that I like a little bit more of a like simple face, but I wanted some sort of texture on it. I think you guys did a great job of leading me towards Grand Seiko, which what I've learned is just like they're gorgeous watches and gorgeous, like super high quality. And I liked a little bit like that, doing that research. And then I found the spring drive and just loved the technology behind it. And that really just kind of pushed me to knowing I wanted a Grand Seiko, wanted a spring drive. So then it was just which one.
Yeah, that's cool. I think a lot of people, I think knowing something about your personality, it seemed like a good fit, right? Yeah. Some people have that initial reaction of like, it says Seiko on the dial and it costs what, but I think you see the like engineering, technical, and design value in those things. So that's pretty cool.
And of course, Kyle appreciates one of my favorite Grand Seiko facts that Steph told us, which is that one man hand paints the second hand on every Grand Seiko. Like that's the kind of stuff that just makes Kyle like.
He's like, I'm sold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I think you've really made it yours too. You got some great straps from the lugs.
Oh yeah.
Which took like very specific measuring, but it's
Yeah, I have a little bit of a smaller wrist, and like I don't like the extra like band to hang off. But the lugs was great. Like their quality is like super great, and just the fact that you could like customize it to, the millimeter was like perfect for me.
It's interesting. Our friend John here said, Kyle's a great example of people who are watch interested but not full on enthusiasts yet. I have a lot of friends that fall into that right now. They know what they like in watches, but can't really say why they like this or that. So it's awesome hearing Kyle move through that. Yeah. That's been fun to sort of like hear what you're interested in, and then we would try to recommend things. You're like, this is what I like, this is what I don't.
Yeah, and that's what I think been very helpful, because I think about without probably you guys, I would have done research online. I would have gone into stores, and I probably wouldn't have gotten the like advice and consultation that has allowed me to really understand it kind of better.
Well, you wouldn't have seen a Grand Seiko.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
The week before we got married, so we got married during COVID, which is always exciting. And plus we're never going to do a big wedding anyway. So we kind of did this, we planned our wedding in 2 weeks when we got to California around the holidays. And one of the big stops we needed to make was going to Beverly Hills because we want to get a nice tie for Kyle for the wedding. And we went and we were able to go into the Grand Seiko boutique and try them all on. And it was just really special. And the guys there couldn't have been nicer. And being able to see it in the metal, as you all like to say, was also really a really great experience for us too. They were just awesome as far as letting us try them on and re-plastic wrapping them and everything for us. Yeah.
But that was like super helpful. And just like, I can imagine for lots of people in our situation, you can't see these watches. And so you're just like looking online and like, I don't know, it's a big purchase and wanting to make sure that it's the right one. Like that is really hard. And so we were lucky that we were able to do that.
Because you can only watch so many YouTube videos. Though we found every YouTube video about the Skyflake and watched it.
Sure. That's right. Yeah, no doubt. Our friend Mike Finlow says, sounds like Kyle's one watch away from falling into the hole. Maybe that was it. But
so Rosalie, you have come a long way recently too.
Yes.
You have a couple of your older watches here.
Yep.
You've evolved since your baby G days.
I have.
That's for sure.
I have.
But you wore Longines for a long time.
I did. Probably like 7 years ago when I had always wanted to get a nice watch. And like I said, I'd always wanted like a Rolex, but that was definitely out of my reach at the point when I was ready to make a nicer purchase. So I work at a strategic communications agency. And so you can kind of get away with like being creative. So I did do the like swatch thing even at work for years, like into like through my late 20s for sure. Like, oh, I'm just so creative. I wear a swatch. Oh, I'm so obnoxious. Like, how do you get away with not wearing a super nice watch? Get like the cheapest one. And so I played with that for a while, which I actually have that one here, which is cute. It's like this like hot green mess. But it had like a date and it was fun. And then I was ready to upgrade and I ride horses with Steph. That's how we met in college and how we became such great friends. And Longines, and I'm really into horse racing as well. Longines sponsors all of the major horse races. And I just appreciated their sponsorship of the sport because, you know, it's a niche sport. Horse racing has certainly run into trouble over the last few years. And my family is big into horse racing. And so it meant something to me to support a brand that supported the industry like that. So I bought a Grand Classique, I think it's called. I actually bought it from Joma Shop. And it was great. It's like on a steel band, a white face, very simple, Roman numerals. And that served me well for, 6 years or something.
And you wear watches all the time.
I do. Right? I wear it all the time. I wear it in the shower. I wear it, and so I usually like a bracelet band for that reason, because like at the barn, dirt is everywhere. Like forget about a leather band. And and that watch was really a great watch. I also, like a few years ago, read an article about Bill Clinton wearing a Shinola. And like, I just really loved the story of that brand being in Detroit, like, I guess getting like Swiss movements and stuff, training kind of a next generation of craftsmen in the trade in this like very depressed city. And so I also started keeping an eye out for those and found kind of one of those at like Nordstrom Rack one day, which I have here too, and the brand's broken right now, but I like really loved that watch with the gold around it. So then I started I did. I literally the strap fell off. So I wore that one a lot too. I also at that point had like a Michael Kors that I was wearing quite a bit, like that all the women were wearing. That one, the band, I think broke. I'm into breaking bands. That's again why I need the bracelet. And like you guys could see it probably, like I love my watch as a bracelet, so I wear it with bracelets. That like hurts Arthur's soul. I know Arthur, like I think he's very jealous of the fact that like I don't care at all. And this one I don't take. I sleep with this one. So to that end, about 3 months ago, having bought my husband a beautiful watch, having my friends talking about watches all the time, I wanted to upgrade from the Longines. I also took it in to get it serviced, and it like hadn't been running the same since, and that was really frustrating me. And I also wanted a two-tone watch because I like wearing bracelets a lot in gold and in silver. And Steph had the Santos, and I saw it and I just like fell in love with it because I obviously, as most women, loved like the Cartier Love bracelet. And I loved how this watch has like the little screws that are like a very similar look to that bracelet. I loved, like I said, that it was two-toned. Obviously, Cartier is such like a classic and wonderful brand that, I mean, once I saw that watch, I was pretty much dead set on getting it. It was just really me figuring out a time financially that made sense for me to drop.
But also it's crazy. I mean, a lot of women love the Love bracelet, and they're more expensive
than the watch.
A machine
I think that's crazy too. So
But after your experience with the Longines, which was an automatic, and you had frustration with the particular service experience you had, you were like, I needed to be quartz after that.
I did, right? And so it was really hard for me because as someone who did love watch as a kid and always thought like the automatic, like sweeping hand is so beautiful to watch, I just got really frustrated with this is gonna I feel bad talking about this for our watch nerds, but like my problem with the Longines was I got it on sale. I think I paid like $850 for it, and I was paying like $300 to get the spring replaced. I'm like, that's a third of the cost of the watch. That just seems.
And it still didn't work.
And then it didn't work.
The answer is to buy more expensive mechanical.
Right. Duh. And I would get frustrated. I like my watch to tell time, and so to me, a quartz tells time. You don't have to worry about that piece of it. And so for this one, I wanted to go back to quartz and get that piece back. But I will definitely get an automatic again at some point. I know.
But that's a great choice.
Yeah, I think there's no shame in quartz. I have my Tank Francesos in quartz, and I wear that thing all the time because it's always set and like great and ready to go. So,
yeah. Yep.
I think that was a great decision for you.
So one thing I was interested in, it seemed like you kind of knew what you wanted to go for.
Yeah.
With Kyle, we kind of helped explore things.
That is not unusual.
But I mean,
our personalities.
I guess going into it, were there any a lot of these watches is perceptions of brands and stuff. Were there any brands you thought you would love that you ended up looking more deeply into and you didn't, or the other way around? Did your perceptions of anything change, or? I
don't know if they changed. I was surprised with and you guys know I'm terrible pronouncing things, but Zenith, particularly some of their newer stuff with the three different colors. I like that one that surprised me, that I really liked. Rolex has been one for me that I don't know if I could wear a Rolex just because of the brand cachet around it. But maybe I'm a little bit different than you on that one. But when I started looking at them, I was like, oh, these actually look really nice. And I really liked them.
The Rolexes.
Yeah.
People talk about the I guess it's a bathtub curve of Rolex appreciation. You don't know anything about watches. You're like, okay, Rolex is the one to get as the milestone.
It's the best watch ever, right? There's nothing else.
And then as you learn more, it's no, I want a Zenith, I want a Grand Seiko. I get more bang for my buck. And then you come back around to...
You come back around at least to respect for them, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not really into it.
Which that's a little bit of probably my personality. I like things that people in the know appreciate, and not necessarily the things that everybody appreciates. I liked having a Grand Seiko that's a little bit lesser known brand that somebody who actually knows about which would be oh, that's a great watch, and would be really interested in it.
I'm a bit like that too. I like to have something that's oh, if you know, you know,
right? A little bit of a sleeper.
Well, Grand Seiko is the perfect example of that. Of people don't know what it is, but
or
they know.
Or if you for me, if someone doesn't know what it is and they ask about it, then you can tell them all the stuff they didn't care to know.
I remember those conversations.
Nobody cares about any of this.
So I thought it might be fun to show you a couple pictures of watches that I don't know if we've talked about or I don't know if you've seen. And some of them are very hot right now. And especially if you spend time on watch Instagram, you're just in this little echo chamber of the same opinions over and over and over. So I wanted to sort of get maybe a fresh opinion on these watches.
But this first set that you're showing, it's what I would say objectively are similar styles, but across the board on brands.
Oh, this will be fun because I know in Instagram, I now just get basically all the same watches of Omega and Grand Seiko. And so it'd be good to see some other ones.
Well, some of these are very popular and some aren't, but we're not going to say.
Oh, this is good.
Because we want your honest thoughts, which I think should be cool. Let me just share the screen here. And we're going to start with, by the way, I pulled up beautiful pictures. This is Kyle's Grand Seiko.
That's a great one.
Yeah. You like that one?
I do.
And then this is the Cartier that Rosie's wearing up close. So let me make sure that's sharing. Yes, it is. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to start with, so this is you may recognize the brand names. They're this very sort of generally hot category of what we call integrated bracelet sports watches. Okay. It started in the 70s, and the bracelets are kind of part of the experience. So this is the first one. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I wanted to see what you thought of the design, the aesthetic. Would you wear it? Do you like it?
So for myself, I don't know if I would buy it. I like it. I like it. I like the screws around it, like your kind of the Cartier watch. And I do really like that the bracelet seems so like in line with the overall design.
That's the integrated thing they're going for, right?
Go ahead and show the next one and like compare the two.
Okay, the next one in line. Very well-known brand.
I don't like that one.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
I like the other one better. I don't love either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the next
I
one.
can say I don't love either of them. Yeah. What about it? This one makes you
I don't like it. Looks like earphones on.
Yeah. The thing is coming off the side.
Yeah, I think that's, and I can see what they're trying to do. There's supposed to be some symmetry there. I think that like the horizontal lines in the background are interesting, like as a feature. I think I definitely like the first one better than this one.
See, for even like the horizontal lines just makes it feel kind of like that, and just like makes it seem
Bubbly.
really wide.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is sort of in the same theme as well. Let's see if I can make this bigger.
Still love the three. I like
the
first one the best.
Okay.
Interesting. That one has a similar like octagon thing going on.
Yep. Actually, all three of those were originally designed in the 70s.
So what makes it an integrated band?
It's like yours, where the bracelet.
Okay,
is
the
like
bracelet.
Yeah, and in this
Okay.
case, this is actually not removable, I believe.
Okay.
So these are all kind of watches you probably
Yeah.
wouldn't put on straps. I mean, you can,
Right.
but
Yep.
So this next one is actually a sort of a strapped version of
Yeah.
this similar kind of design.
I like that one the best, maybe for me.
Yeah, I think me too.
I like the round. I think I prefer the round to the octagon.
There is something, and I think we found this out when we were looking for watches for myself. Is it the lugs? Like having more compact lugs is something I like. So maybe these integrated bands are.
That's probably totally right.
Are becoming, just feels like it's creating a heftier, kind of weightier kind of watch.
Yeah, they wear differently because of that too, and what I think is a pleasing way. Okay, and the last one we've picked is here.
This one has done a better job with the sides. It seems a little bit more streamlined.
A lot of these,
I like that
actually, two of these were designed by the same guy in the 70s.
Really?
And they sort of started a trend. And it's originally, some of the inspiration was meant to be sort of like nautical themed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like a porthole.
Yeah.
That was literally.
And in
my
fact,
next comment. Yeah.
this brand name, Hublot, I think in French, I believe it means porthole.
Interesting.
so of these, two of them are very, very hard to get and super popular and like way overpriced
Hyped.
And hyped.
Okay.
Which
Let's see,
two do you
yeah.
think they are?
Can you go through them again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The problem is we hard for me to just say the ones that
the
I
Audemars
like.
Piguet,
Okay.
the Patek Philippe,
Okay.
the Gerard Perregaux,
Okay.
the Hublot, and the Chopard.
I'm going to go with the Chopard and the Oak being the hardest ones to go with. And I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I feel like you guys have been kind of mentioning this Oak watch for a few days. So it sounds like it's probably like special. So yeah, that's what I have.
I mean, I have no idea. I would have said the first one, just because that's probably my favorite. And go back. What was the second one?
The Patek Philippe.
I would go with this one just because it looks very unique and unusual.
So Kyle, you are correct as to which two are the most currently
go.
hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are all stainless steel watches, but the Patek and the Audemars Piguet are selling at many multiples of the retail price currently. That, in fact, this one's been announced as discontinued. The retail price, I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me, somewhere around $30,000.
So, yeah.
And the current secondary market listings for them are around 90.
Yeah.
Even though it's
just dumb.
It is dumb in my personal opinion. But I think I actually enjoyed hearing like truly fresh perspective on like what do you like or not, because those are some of the most hyped watches out there.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to disconnect some of that from my own opinion. I remember starting out, I thought the Royal Oak was one of the ugliest watches I'd ever seen. But you look at something more, you get used to it.
Yeah.
And yeah. I guess I should have. Someone mentioned I should have shown the Vacheron overseas as well.
That's true. That's
okay. That's okay. It's funny and the sort of like prevailing opinion of like a lot of watch nerds is that particular Hublot as a brand is like not so sure. Like people like to make fun of them.
What do you make fun of about them?
Well,
because I even know that you guys don't like Hublots, and I don't even know why I know that.
So that's probably one of their most like subtle designs, but a lot of their stuff is like very sort of bombastic, aggressive.
What kinds of people? What's the persona of the person who buys an Hublot?
That's probably part of the problem. It's sort of like flashy douchebag territory. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like my stereotype. That's not entirely fair.
What do they run like price wise?
So that one was actually like 6,400, but most Hublots are in like the mid-teens and upward for steel, I think, and then they make gold and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So the two that were like really popular, what is it about them that is the big draw? Like, why are those two like so special?
I guess they were two of the earliest designs of that integrated sports watch
thing. That makes sense.
They're designed by a single person, this guy, Gerald Genta. And I guess they've become sort of like design icons over time, but they were not always as highly valued as that.
Got it.
And in fact, when the Royal Oak came out, it was controversial because this is in the middle of the Swiss watch industry is having a hard time because quartz watches are coming in, right? Mm-hmm. And Japanese quartz watches are more accurate and starting to become less expensive too. Audemars Piguet said, we're going to make a sports watch in steel that looks like nothing else you've ever seen, and it's going to cost more than if it was made in gold. And everyone was like, what are you doing? But they basically created this weird thing that became desirable, and that's kind of snowballed from there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's like the historic value of that within the industry, and it created like a trend. That makes sense.
But I think a lot of people who are after these watches or want to buy them don't actually care about the story.
Right.
It's just that they become really popular.
Right.
Now.
Yeah. And I do think that those two watches, especially because of the brand names and stuff, their popularity does go beyond enthusiasts too. Because it's like if some people buy them as it's like, oh, like Rolex is a status symbol, that is like a next level.
Right.
Like if you know, wealthier person version of that.
You can actually, Ro, you can find some deals on these. And I've looked at some quartz ones, like some of the ladies' quartz ones. I think that would be like really fun and funky to have because this was originally made as like a screw you to the quartz crisis. Like it would be fun to have a quartz one. Just
yeah.
Contrarian. I
And
don't know.
let's go through some of the comments here. I mean, actually, we couldn't see because we were screen sharing some of that time. Lots of Hublot jokes. The Gerard Perregaux is sort of like people consider sort of like an underrated, similar watch from that time, design wise, and I think it's kind of interesting, a little less industrial perhaps than some of the others looking. Let's see. Hold on, I saw an interesting comment. Watch Medicine. I appreciate the honesty here. He owns a white dial version of that Patek. And can say it's not worth more than $30,000. I really appreciate
the honesty.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think footballers wear them was one of the comments.
Yeah, and there was
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather loves Hublot. Yeah, so that was kind of.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's do a little different take on the same kind of question. The other two watches that you pulled up.
This one, the brand names may sort of give it away, but let's see.
But Kyle, I think especially for you, because I could see your next watch potentially being a chronograph. I know we talked about Speedmasters at one point in your decision. But
Kyle only likes the really expensive.
Of course.
Wait, which Speedmaster is it that's caught your eye? I don't remember.
I mean, there's a lot of them. I know some of the things, and I won't get the right terminology, but I like it where the actual chronographs are kind of embedded. I think you used a term for that.
Like an integrated chronograph movement versus modular.
Well, no, it was each individual circle is kind of, there's a little indentation
Oh,
like a
the
dimple.
recessed subdials.
That to me is something I've realized I like. And like I think the color of the dial is important to me. Like through all my research, I found one that was like, it sounded like it was very rare, but really old. It was like a matte kind of blue kind of dial that like, if they ever came out with one of those again, I would probably have to buy it just because I love it as much.
If I remember right, it was a vintage Speedmaster where the black had almost faded to blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I've never even seen one like it. So that was very good pick. Good taste. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was show two sporty chronographs. One is the Rolex Daytona and the other being the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. I think we talked about these a little bit, so this may not be totally unbiased reaction, but I'm curious they're both about 40 millimeters. The prices are actually not that different. 10,000 versus I think roughly 13. I guess what do you like better and which would you wear?
I think I have an interest trying this because I found the Zenith and I mentioned it earlier. And like, that's the watch that it caught my eye. And I said, no, I couldn't do it then. But like,
because I was buying, I couldn't do it then. To be
good
clear.
point. But like, even from a design, I kind of liked it, but like I thought it was a little too far out there for me. I like a little bit more classic.
But drawn to dressier designs often, at least when we were looking at this, right?
And then from over the past, let's say 6 months, I've grown to like this more and more. And so like, this is probably between the two, my choice. If we went back to the Rolex, I could like give you some like reasons that I like it. But like the bezel here feels just a little too, it's just not sleek enough. It's like feels weighty and like too much going on.
There is a lot on this watch, to be fair.
Where the other one just seemed a little cleaner. And it's like stupid, but stuff like there's so many words on the Rolex.
I agree. It's like a paragraph, right? They're kind of notorious for that.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. It is. My style is a little bit more classic, and so maybe a classic is the wrong word, but like clean. More minimalist and like clean.
I do think the Zenith is a little less busy in that regard.
So from that standpoint, I would go to the Zenith.
I think the Zenith would be a great next watch for you. And this one in particular, there's older versions, the older El Primero, which I think we looked at a little bit, but this newer one in particular, I think.
So this is the new one, because I've heard like in my Instagram feed of just now getting lots of watch stuff that there was a lot of talk about this, but I didn't quite understand. I don't know if it's controversy or what.
The similarity to the Rolex was an element of what some people said was controversy. But in fact, Zenith supplied the movements for that Rolex for years.
Oh, really?
So they have sort of, and a lot, when you look closer than the fact that it's a black bezel and a white dial on a chronograph, the design elements are really more Zenith, in my opinion. So they still make also sort of the more vintage inspired versions of the El Primero from the 60s, which they don't have the ceramic bezel. They look a little, actually, interestingly, they look a little busier in some ways.
They do.
But a little dressier in a way, because it's, especially here, leather strapped, a little bit more, no bezel or no, functional bezel, I guess. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Rosalie, what do you think between these?
So Kyle was never someone that I was gonna go like buy a watch for and be like, happy wedding day. It was always very clear that he was gonna have a very active hand in deciding which watch he wanted. And to that end, like that watch to me is more Kyle than the Rolex for all of the things that he said. Just like that much cleaner look. Kyle loves blues. He likes a white face. And so I like, as we've been looking at a lot of Speedmasters because that was kind of the other option for our wedding day, and none of them were like quite right for the first watch for us to do. But this I think is actually as close to the Grand Seiko. Like again, it wouldn't have been an option, but that's like this is the most like Kyle watch I think I've seen in a while.
That's cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which one would you wear?
What would, like, for you, for your style, which of the two?
See, I think that one of the next topics is going to be what's our next watch. I think I would probably go the branded route.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
probably want a Rolex because, like, that's what I always wanted.
Even from the
That's
style
fair.
perspective,
Yeah.
I think the
The
Rolex
is
looks
more like
more
me.
you.
Mhm. That's fair.
So Rosalie, I want a two-tone version of this, like one of the older ones. That's one of my like stretch watches I would love to find. These are also
Basically
very
that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
particularly the stainless steel ones are also very overpriced on the secondhand market. They're like super
They cost
hard.
more than the gold, the
Yeah.
two-tone gold ones.
And so you can find
Yeah.
these for closer to retail or under retail.
And you like it better.
And I like better.
This is so ironic. One of my friends who got a Rolex for high school graduation, hers was stainless steel, and I always, like, this is gonna sound hilarious, like felt kind of bad for her.
Oh.
Like, wouldn't it be nice to have like a two-tone one because you can wear it with so much more stuff? Like stainless steel. So it's really funny to me to hear that like that's the fancy one to have.
That's funny. That's funny. Or Stephanie, you could go the all rose.
Oh,
gold
yeah.
suit.
Rose
Oh, yeah.
gold.
There is
Yeah,
one
no
of those.
problem.
There is one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess
Not flashy.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Subtle.
Karan said Rosalie would sport the Rolex. I think he called it. A couple of people in the chat have that Zenith Chronomaster, including Kim and maybe a couple, and Gary if he's here too. But I know they're loving it. So yeah.
David, I
see.
like you.
Rosalie definitely needs a Rolex. You can find those two-tone models. Yeah, let's see. Kron says the Daytona is so hot on a lady. Yeah,
I like this
Chris
guy.
Ross says,
Yeah.
can Kyle live with the Zenith polished center links?
Show me what that is.
Okay, sure.
You're careful with
I'll
your
flip
stuff.
over it.
You're just like Arthur.
It's
I
the
bet
fact
you
that these
can.
center links on the bracelet are polished. It's from a scratch perspective and potentially from a flash perspective.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. What is the like polishing on the Grand
Zeratsu
Seiko? I am like
polishing.
worried about that, but like not
Okay.
probably to the level you are.
Kyle actually was very all for getting a used watch for a wedding gift because he was like, I would love for someone else to have put the first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
But alas.
Interesting.
I don't think I have any scratches yet, but I look often. In that day,
I
it's
know.
not
I
gonna
think
feel
Rosalie
good.
and I are more similar. I got a scratch on my Santos within like 30 seconds of getting it.
Yeah.
I think I scratched the gold on the bezel.
I don't even
So-
know if I have a scratch on mine yet. I'm like, whatever.
It's okay. So Arthur and I didn't really prepare for this, but I think picking next watches for you both.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'll go first so you can have a minute to think, Arthur.
And I want to hear from the fans.
Okay, yeah,
me
if
too.
anybody else
Knowing what
has
you've heard about
ideas.
these two, what would you pick for Rosalie and Kyle?
And do us a favor, send us a link so we can
Yeah.
see them.
Actually look
And
at
Karan will be glad to sell it.
Yes. So this is a little bit of a cop out, but I do think that Zenith would be really great for you. But I think in particular the new one, not the older one, just a little bit more modern. But I think it'd be a great compliment to what you already have because the Grand Seiko is a little bit dressier. I think on that strap you've like dressed it down a little bit, which is great. But that would be a great like everyday sporty watch. I think the combo you have now with the Stowe and the Grand Seiko, it's great.
They're a great pair.
It's a great pair. It's a great 2-watch collection. You don't need more, but that would be, I think, a chronograph for sure.
Yeah.
Particularly given your like automotive interest would be good. I think that would be a good pick. And then Rosalie, since you already have the two-tone Cartier, I actually think a stainless Oyster Perpetual in 31 or 36 would be great. And I really love, there's like this green color, almost the same color of your shirt, that I think would be a really, maybe 34. 34 green. What's that green called?
Mint green, I
Mint
believe.
green.
Okay.
Because that watch, I would not, it's an automatic, but I would not feel bad about you wearing it to the barn every day and like getting it scratched up. Whereas like a Datejust, that seems like the obvious
more
Rolex
polished.
choice for you, but it's a little bit more polished. And you have a two-tone, and I think Datejust two-tone is the way to go.
No, I like
But
that.
I think a mint
You
green.
have to send me
OP.
some tips.
Is green really popular in watches like right
This
now?
was a recent episode that we had.
Oh, right.
It's
Sorry,
a trend.
that's
It was
why.
St. Patrick's. We
That's
missed
why
that
it's in
one.
the
Yeah.
top of my head.
Yeah.
But this green is a little bit more subtle. It's not like Kelly green.
David says, Rosalie said like 5 times that she's always liked Rolex, so that one's yeah.
Kyle,
Actually,
I think, like hint.
there's been some suggestions for a 34 OP as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I think the Oyster Perpetual for you, Rosalie, in whatever color you found interesting. There's a Tiffany blue dial that you might like. That comes in 31 or 36. There's a darker green. Is that the one you were talking about? Because the mint green only comes in the Datejust, I think. Uh-oh.
Oh gosh, it's a watch that we had to have invented it. It's a custom job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'd pick like the Tiffany blue Oyster Perpetual, Rolex Oyster Perpetual for you. And for Kyle, I agree with some of the commenters that said you need like a sports watch next, something with like, and I know you don't like something too busy. I think I would get you the newest Speedmaster Professional, because they've just revised the dial a tiny bit, the case a tiny bit, and they've put a more modern anti-magnetic movement in there. And the thing about the dial is they've made the subdials more recessed.
Oh,
so I think you would love that.
There we go.
Actually, Kyle doesn't love black dials.
It's true.
Yeah, it's the color. I know. Although, like another one, I think I'm coming closer to like enjoying
You have
those.
white, now you're blue.
I know.
You're like,
It's a little bit maybe just because I'm probably if I get another watch, it'll need to be something that's like a little bit more different and like a black dial.
Because you liked also the Ida where you see they have some chronographs from you. Yes.
Yeah.
We like just because they're very like simple, like Kyle likes white dial, like kind of vintagey looking, but like we kind of felt like it was too similar to the Stoa.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get it.
not different enough. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The large Arabic numerals and all that. Yeah. It's kind of a couple of people saying Kyle should consider Nomos, which would be interesting. Also, kind of like niche, like not.
I think almost too similar to Stoa.
Meh.
Like kind of simpler.
They do some like Bauhaus, sort of, design.
We love Nomos.
And interesting, couple people suggesting Panerai for Kyle. I don't know. We have to look at those.
You have a Panerai, right?
I do, yeah. Like
the loom.
Yeah, the big loom with the like crown guard protector and all that. Interesting. It's like they're interesting because they're like tough tool watches, but they're also like a very Italian take on that because they're like they have to make it pretty looking at the same time. They're also like very like Marmite watch brand. Like people love them.
Very. Well, see, what's funny about them is like, to be honest, I don't speak for Kyle. I don't know that they're his favorite, but what I think is interesting about them is they are very unique, and Kyle does like really unique things. I don't know how many people are like car nerds on this chat too, but Kyle's like baby is his BMW M Coupe, which if you know that car, it's very much a love it or hate it.
Yeah, it looks like a clown shoe.
and people don't, and if you know, like one of those. Yeah. So
what about like a funky Panerai, like a submersible or
maybe. I don't know.
You have to show me some of these and like
some things to
I'll give you some like opinions.
Yeah. A funny comment here. Experimenting with Panerai is like experimenting with meth. It never ends
I think like that should be like a meme comment. I love that.
Oil Money watches on it. Says Arthur and Stephanie cut the crap. Rosalie needs a day date. One and done.
There you
Game
go.
over.
That's true.
So what is the Rolex that you want?
I want Quran. I would like a pink OP 36. So it's the same size as my Explorer, the Rolex that you've seen me wear.
Yep.
But it has like a candy pink dial. But I think it would be a great like everyday watch, but a little fun with some funky color. And I think having the color and like a bigger dial size is fun because you get like really get an experience. But I love the OPs. I think they're great, and it's just a shame they're hard to get.
And what Oil Money watches was suggesting for you, Rosalie, was something along the lines of this.
Hey, there you go.
I just pulled up a rose gold day photo. Yeah.
Woo.
Maybe that's something of like before you guys leave today of just like walking me through the differences between Rolex, because I just feel like I don't have the almost taxonomy of like Rolex, so it's hard for me to even like think about them.
Yeah. I mean, like just by variance, there's so many different dial colors and metal colors in what they call the Datejust and the Oyster Perpetual. Oyster Perpetual is like basic 3-hand watch.
Got it.
Often with different color dials. Let's go here. And the Rolex website is kind of hard to navigate, to be honest. Okay, let me share the screen so that those on the chat.
Everyone else gets Rolex 101 with us, you poor things.
And they'll probably have things to correct me on and all that good stuff.
Oh, someone mentioned Kyle liking the silver Snoopy, which was
I do.
Yeah.
I do love that one.
Good start there.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh.
So
Right. I think I like texted you guys that when you were like, oh,
Yeah.
don't, like,
Bless
just
bless
don't stop
his
looking
heart,
at it.
Don't
as
break
we
your
say
heart.
in the
Yeah.
South.
yeah. So yeah, the Oyster Perpetual is the basic 3-hander,
Okay.
and only comes in steel, and is generally the most affordable Rolex.
And is the one that Steph says I should not get.
No, I think you should
I
get
should
it.
get
and
okay.
a dial color.
Because it can go to the barn,
Yeah.
bang it around.
The sort of like what everyone thinks of is the
that
date
one.
just,
Got
which
it.
is that plus a date with
Yep.
this little Cyclops magnifier.
Yeah.
And often people think of the two-tone here.
Date just, yeah.
Yeah, with the fluted gold bezel, as opposed to the domed plain
I would like
bezel.
a rose gold two-tone one of these.
Mm.
Just Arthur knows that.
Yeah, and then generally the rest of the Rolex collection is more of like I think they call them the professional models, which are long ago were like tool watches for particular purposes, like the Submariner, which is like the sort of bread and butter dive watch. The Sea Dweller, which here they're showing a two-tone one. It's like a deeper depth dive watch. The Daytona, which is like the sports chronograph. The GMT Master, which was the pilot's watch with multiple time zones. And actually, I should have mentioned the date is sort of like the date just plus. It's got the day of the week, and they're always in solid precious metal all the way through. So that's like the Tony Soprano solid yellow gold date.
Okay.
So we talked about the Daytona, and then the Sky Dweller is a recent model, which is actually one of the most complicated Rolexes. It actually has a calendar function in it, so it can tell you what month it is by the little indicator on the outside. And you set some of that using the bezel too.
I feel like that's when you got to wind every day because it's
You
just
probably
a pain in
want
the
to keep
butt
it
to
right.
set it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there are a couple other models that aren't showing here: the Explorers, the Yacht Masters. But yeah, I think they fall into what they call the professional collection.
Yeah.
I could see Kyle maybe liking the Explorer 2. We'll see what comes out this week, right? The new updated version of that.
Yes, that's
GMT.
Rolex has been teasing a new.
I saw it on the
Interesting.
site.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh man, that's some good suggestions coming in here.
It's funny you guys mentioning Tony Soprano having his like solid gold
Yeah.
watch. I always think it's really interesting when you got like deep watch people being able to tell what watches in like a TV show when it flashes so fast.
Yeah.
That said, everyone says Kyle's going into like the depths because we're on an airplane watching Wall Street, or no, the one with Gordon Gekko. Is that Wall Street?
Wolf of Wall
no,
Street?
the old
earlier
one.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're like halfway through the movie, and Kyle goes, I think he has a Santos. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he was right.
Yeah. You've got the eye for it for sure. So
The Sopranos as a show is great. Watch.
Yeah, it is.
That would be a good episode,
Yeah.
guys.
It would be,
Yeah.
That would be a fun
Yeah.
episode.
Saw
That would be
Pasha
cool.
on an episode
Yeah,
we watched
yeah,
the other
yeah.
night. There's some good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
in there.
Well, I think that probably about does it.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you all for joining. I think this was a fun one. I
Yeah, it was
certainly
great.
enjoyed
Fun.
having
Yeah,
the
fun,
fresh
fun.
perspective. And
Yeah.
we'll see what comes next. There's certainly a lot of ideas here. And if you guys are cool with it, we'll like link your Instagrams and stuff, and then people can send you random stuff.
All sorts of recommendations.
Cool. Well, as usual, check out everything else Scottish Watches, the podcast, the other shows on the channel, and we'll see you next week. Hope you have a good week, and speak to y'all soon.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. All right.